I'm Kaede, I'm co-founder and CEO. This is the investor side of the platform, and we built this out to be a primary tech stack for angels, solo GPs, and smaller funds. These investors find existing solutions too complex, and they can't afford to hire bodies to try the problem, and also can't afford to build a software team on site to build their own tech solutions. The biggest problem we're solving for them is on the inbound. A lot of investors complain about just the sheer volume of applications that are coming from founders and the time and effort it takes to sort through that. So what we have here is details on the investor, basic information, as well as laying out their investment thesis, what countries they invest in, what industries, what stage, and so on. Two things happen from here. They can either create a link to use on social media on the website to take in the inbound, or they can also source transactions here. Basically, seeing on the other side all the startups that match that investment thesis. So this process of filtering and matching based on investors' thesis is the primary problem we're solving for now. And this is what we have here, being able to synthesize the information we have from the startups, put it in a form that is very useful, actionable, and an investor can decide whether it makes sense to them or not. It's also a form of CRM where you can pass transactions through. You can shortlist them, to look at them later on. So that helps on the deal filtering and sourcing side. In terms of evaluation, because we have the financial model automated on the other side, startups can share their details, and investors can look at this information. Later on, can ask for more details, can basically conduct due diligence on the platform. And lastly, portfolio management, which is still in the works, helps to get investor updates, monitor information, and see the health of your existing portfolio in one view. That's it for the investor side. And here we have the startup side. For the startups, the problem we're solving is that fundraising is extremely painful, it's complex, and expensive for a lot of founders, which leads to a lot of founders just not being able to access funding, and effectively they're locked out of capital raising. Two things on this side is linking it to the investor side, being able to provide what investors want without breaking the bank. For instance, investors want to see a concise, short and complete initial information. On the company profile here, we allow basically taking the flip side of what we have on the investor side, being able to put in information about the startup, their funding, the traction, the business model, and viewing that as a teaser, which they can either share with a URL or download and share on other forms. So this is what shows up on the investor side, but the startup can also see it here and use it differently. So in effect, on this side, we're replacing, maybe using a consultant or using or spending hours on PowerPoints, to create this. And also, this form, for instance, can be saved and used for multiple investors, rather than current process where every investor has their own type form or Airtable to collect this information. The next thing, which is a bit recent addition to the platform, is on the investor prospecting. And then the problem here for the startup is they just don't know how to identify the right investors for their stage of business. But here now, we built a database from publicly available information of about 3,000 investors, so that startups can come in here and see what investors are right for them based on the investment thesis. So this will continue to get better as we onboard investors and they update this information in real time. On the financial modeling side, which is where we started out, the idea is to just save the cost for startups and provide a fully automated system customized for the stage of business as well. So depending on what stage the startup is, they can select and it takes them through the process. All drop down, selecting currency, selecting the basic information about the model, and then very importantly uh, on in terms of revenue, in terms of inputting the information, it's also customized to the business model of the startup, so that a founder doesn't have to worry about a business model they don't know about, and they also don't get overwhelmed. We focused on early stage founders who may not, who most of them don't have finance information. So we've built in all these help tools so they can get the tooltips, get little information, and then they can also always dive deeper in here. The output looks something like this. Yep. So after going through that same process for the cost, for the cash for basic cash flow, this is what comes out: a detailed P&L, a summary balance sheet and cash flow, and a lot of metrics there that you can always just pick and use in pitch decks. Also got the charts which can be downloaded and also used for pitch decks and other applications. It's easy to share, either share on as a URL there or download to PDF or spreadsheets. Yep, so that's the plan on the, that's what we have on. So that's what we have on the startup side, just tools to help founders with fundraising and connect with investors. Thank you very much.